Today, we're going to take a closer look at volume. We talked about how volume is a measure of the amount of space a container takes up. You can think of it as how much space a 3D object takes up. Another way to think about it is in cubic units. Volume is the total number of cubic units needed to fill a three-dimensional space. But what is a rectangular prism? Well, a rectangular prism is a three-dimensional shape whose six faces are all rectangles. How do you find the volume for a rectangular prism? Let's review. To measure the volume of a rectangular prism, you multiply the length times the width times the height. For this prism, that would be 4 inches times 10 inches times 6 inches, and that would equal 240 inches cubed. Another way to think of it is to multiply your base times your height. Remember that your base is just your length and your width, so really it's still the same formula of length times width times height, only now it's shortened to your base times your height. In some problems, this will come in handy when figuring out missing sides. So, for this rectangular prism, base times height would be 40 inches times 6 inches, which still equals 120 inches cubed. Let's take a look at another shape. This shape is called a cube. A cube is a three-dimensional shape whose six faces are all squares. Let's find the volume of this cube. But wait, only one side is labeled at 5 inches. What do we know about squares that will help us when thinking about this cube? Right, all sides are going to be the same. So that means each side, length times width times height, would end up being 5 times 5 times 5, which would equal 125 inches cubed. You can write that in another way. You could write it as the sides cubed, which would be written as 5 cubed, which also means 5 times 5 times 5, which is still the same as 125 inches cubed. When you write 5 to the third power, you can see there it's written 5 with a 3 up into the right-hand corner. That means the number times itself 3 times. 5 times 5 times 5. Now that we looked more into the skills of finding volume, I want you to go ahead and try some challenge problems. The base of this rectangular prism is 8 inches cubed. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? Give it a try. We know that the base of the rectangular prism is 8 inches cubed, and we know that the height is 6 inches. We can multiply the base layer times the height to get our volume. That means 8 times 6 is equal to 48 inches cubed. Here is our next challenge. The volume of this toy block is 100 centimeters cubed. What is the height? Think about the formula for volume, length times width times height. Place the values that you know within the formula and solve for the unknown. This should help. Let's take this step by step. We know that this toy block is a rectangular prism. In order to find the volume, we know that the formula is length times width times height. Let's plug in the values that we know. We know our length times our width, which is 10 times 5, multiplied by an unknown height is equal to 100 centimeters cubed. So 10 times 5 is 50, times the height, which we don't know, is 100 centimeters. Think 50 times what equals 100, or you can even think 100 divided by what equals 50. The answer is 2. The height of this toy block is 2 centimeters.